This is I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. My name is stevezapf, joined as always with my now two co-hosts. First off, we have our newest co-host, Hound. How you doing today, buddy?
Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me again. Hello, listeners. I hope you wonderful humans are having a fantastic day.
And with me since the beginning of this show, Mr. Showtime Michael Wright. How you doing today, Mike?
You know me, Steven. I'm living the dream. But I think you missed the opportunity to say my two co-host.
I did miss the
Come
opportunity.
on, man. Or you could go in French. What is it?
Doigt.
Trois? We're just talking
Close.
French.
So lots of big things happening around our world, at least. Real quick, let's get into the fact that the show's format is going to be changing. Starting next week, we are going to actually be putting out 2 weekly episodes. 2! There we go.
There you go. Attaboy.
There it was. First, we will be posting a show where it is just me and Hound, and we are going to cover AEW and NXT stuff. And then me and Showtime are going to cover WWE and TNA stuff. This way we can get you even more in-depth reviews, things to that effect. We're still going to be together for our previews and review episodes and anything that we do as far as bonus content. But another big thing that we're doing over probably the next month, we're going to start doing, we're going to call it the Indie Corner, where we are going to cover varying independent wrestling promotions. I've been in contact with many of them. We're going to start reviewing shows. We're going to have results. We're probably going to have a couple of other independent wrestlers come on as guests. I think this is going to be a nice expansion of the show, along with the other episode with us doing more in-depth stuff with AEW, more in-depth stuff with WWE. We'll be able to get more information out to the Legion, basically.
And I swear the reason I'm not on the AEW show has nothing to do with All Out. We were planning this before then.
We were planning this before then, and then All Out happened, and Showtime was happy.
It didn't hurt.
It did not hurt. Also, if you are following, or if you are listening to us and you are not following us, please hit the follow, hit the subscribe, hit the likes, hit everything. Come on board. Be part of the Legion. Get on board now. This way you can say, I was there. You don't want to be there late. You don't want to join when everyone else likes it. Bandwagoners. Actually, jump on with the bandwagon, too. Jump on with everybody. Always like and subscribe our stuff. More big news coming out. Also, bonus episodes. We have officially locked in a 3-time world champion as a bonus interview. That will be coming out soon. We will reveal it on our social media who that 3-time world champion is. And
who could it be?
Who could it be? It could be so many people. There's a lot of 3-time world champions out there.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of 3-time world champions.
I could think of at least 4.
That's 12 champions.
That is 12 championships.
And as always, our nonprofit organization, Tap Cancer Out. It helps with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descents, and Tom Coughlin's J Fund. Gotta love it when we get the J Fund in there. Mm-hmm. Guys, as always, that information will be in our description below. Please help out as much as you can. If any way, shape, or form you can help out, it's such a great cause. And I guess we should probably talk about actual wrestling now, right? Like that's what the show's about.
I bet you won't start with talking about actual wrestling.
I actually won't start with talking about actual wrestling.
I cheated. I see the show doc.
That's true. First things first. Heels debuts this past week on Netflix. I've listened to an interview with Stephen Amell about the show. he kind of describes it as though, even though it is 2 seasons, it's really it's one season. It's one overlapping story arc because there's no time lapse in between season 1 and season 2. Literally, the end of season 1 happens, and the next scene is the next scene is the first scene from season 2. So you don't even have any type of lapse. I'm very excited about this. I actually watched the show when it was on Stars, and I love the fact that they could get something going on now that it's on Netflix and more people have the chance to watch it. I thought this was kind of everything that I wanted from a pro wrestling show. I had a little bit of drama. I had a lot of really good wrestling stuff going on with it. I love the fact that they kind of use some of the insider terms that you don't really hear anymore. And there's a lot of stuff going on where you get a lot of really good characters. I'm a big fan of Wild Bill from the show. He starts off and you think he's just a jerk, and by season 2 you're like, oh, he's the kind of okay guy.
Spoilers.
He's not that okay. He's barely okay.
Steve, did they come out with a season 3 on Netflix, or is this just the first 2 seasons from Stars?
There's only 2 seasons of the show total, and they left season 2 on a major cliffhanger. And I know Amel has said he doesn't want to leave the show like that, but along with that, he's also been signed on to do Suits LA, and they are saying that if they're going to do something, it's probably going to have to be some type of time jump where it's been 6 months down the road or something, a year down the road, and now you get to do it. Also, it gives him time to get back into heel shape, not just okay shape.
I think I'd like to see Netflix do some more miniseries kind of things. Remember the miniseries from like the early 90s when they would do that every so often? Like a quick 4 episode. This could be prime for that.
I think so too. I think one more season of this just to close everything out would be awesome. It would be really, really good. Moving away from that, actual wrestling news in the world. New Japan Pro Wrestling announces their involvement and the Antonio Inoki Memorial event. It's going to be December 14th. I'm sure it will be on NJPW World. Antonio Inoki, obviously a legend, very deeply involved with NJPW and involved with many, many other aspects of pro wrestling. I think I know Hound and I have already spoken that we will probably be watching this event just because I know we are kind of the Japanese wrestling fans out of the trio here.
So there's only so much wrestling that one man can watch. What? Hey, Hound. So I don't watch it as much, and I don't really care what Steven thinks. So what is what do you think you get the most out of this out of these kind of shows?
Well, first, it's paying tribute to Antonio Inoki, so that alone deserves at least paying attention to a recap, just because he is such an influential figure from the past. I understand why Japanese wrestling style sometimes isn't everybody's cup of tea, but a lot of it, and it even goes back to MMA in Japan. The thing that drew me in more so than the spectacle of the sport at first was actually the crowd, the amount of respect the crowd has for those performing. And it had a bit of a profound impact on me because it's not unheard of for a crowd to be silent out of respect, to take in every pin drop and then, stand up for applause at the end, which I found that to be almost beautiful in its own way. But I am also a big fan of, are they really punching each other in the face right now? They might be. So every once in a while I'm like, okay, I get that. That one was snug. Oh, that one was mean. I'm a fan of that every once in a while. Like Steven and I were talking before the show. There's a gentleman from England, Zack Sabre Jr. I enjoyed his stuff immensely in New Japan because of his technical prowess, which is undeniable. And oftentimes the matches I would catch with him, especially when he was in the junior heavyweight division over there, were some of the ones I would really look forward to. I thought, I like that style, but I like it the way I like an ice cream sundae, once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I mean, I know I'm not the biggest Sabre Jr. fan. I've come along a little bit with him, mainly just because he's gotten a little bit bigger, and I think that's helped me out a little bit to add to some of his believability. He actually looks like a heavyweight now.
Steve, not a fan of somebody for no reason at all? No, stop it.
Not a fan of you right now for a reason.
You're lying.
I mean, you're not supposed to be a fan of either of us. We've been friends for more than half our lives.
He knows he's my biggest fan. It's the way it works.
He really is.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop admitting things like this. Stop you guys telling the truth.
Yeah. How dare I confuse this issue with fact?
Listen, I'm always telling the truth. You'll never get bullshit from me.
Is that why you're always right?
Correct. He's not right. I'm right. He was correct there.
So,
good Lord.
I mean, your name's not Michael Correct. It's
right?
Michael, right?
That's why you're allowed to be correct, and I'm always right.
Oh, we're off to a hell of a start right now.
We just want to have fun here, folks.
Woo! All right. Next thing that I've been seeing a lot of is Jonathan Coachman opens up about Vince McMahon on the Gabby AF podcast. There was a lot of stuff he said on this. I have it pulled up right now. Coachman says he's never commented on the allegations, but I think they're disgusting. I think they come from somewhere, and also I've never been around Vince. Not only is he intimidating, you probably have more than a few friends that on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon you say, hey, the football game's on, you want to come over and watch? Vince doesn't have one of those people in his life. I read more of this. It's basically Coachman kind of saying, like, Vince doesn't actually have friends. Like, he has associates, he has acquaintances, he has business acquaintances and things like that. But even when you see him coming out of a restaurant with a guy like Cena or something like that, that's a business conversation for the most part. Like, those guys are talking about business the whole time. They're not hanging out to be friendly. Like, he doesn't have, as much as we hate each other, I can call one of you guys and we'll hang out. He does it. From what Coachman's saying on this is that Vince doesn't have that, which kind of also, I'm not saying if any of the allegations are correct or not correct or he's done anything, but that's got to kind of be a weird situation to be in just in general, that the only people that you're associated with are either family members or business associates.
Well, that happens a lot with people in his position of power. Like, anyone who's around you is usually there to kind of amplify their own status or elevate themselves. So I understand that aspect of things. I'm not going to come close to talking about any kind of allegations. So, like, those who listen to the show often know that I will take a quick step back every single time there. But like, that's not a unique situation for Vince. Like, that's a similar situation of all these people who have built these massive empires, because it's hard to let anyone get close to you.
But I mean, even being in, I'm sorry, Hound, I interrupted you, but even being in the wrestling business, you would assume that some of the wrestlers would be closer to him than that really don't need the money.
I have a feeling that when it comes to Vince, it'll be after he passes and everything, and a few years down the line, there'll be a lot of introspectives, and there'll be a lot of people who speak out after that. I think we're going to hear that there was some kind of either narcissistic personality. We're going to hear something along those lines where he was not able to connect with people. And like Showtime said, somebody who is self-made to that point, everybody for a long time in your life had to either be an opponent or a stepping stone. And I have a feeling that when you reach that level of success, it's hard to not see anybody who's not relatively within that sphere viewing you as the same, for you to not have your guard up. I could very well be wrong there. I could find out that I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, which happens quite a bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. And to echo back to something you said earlier, Steve, I don't hate Showtime. I only hate you.
That's fair.
I'm very lovable.
And Tom's damn near cuddly, so.
I'm not. I am.
You are. You are a cuddly man. All right, let's see. Other wrestling news around the world. AEW seems to be closing in on their television rights deal with Warner Brother Discovery. The reported is that it's going to be $170 million per year for what appears to be 3 to 4 years. This is a little bit short of what they were really hoping for. I know they were looking for 200 over 5. But I think this is a good deal for them. This gets them into the black, so to speak, because they haven't, on their old television deal, they still had not actually cleared even their initial their initial investment. So I think this is a good thing. I know a lot of this, they're talking that they could be doing stuff on Max and pay-per-views on streaming, much like WWE does with Peacock and things like that. So this could be a huge thing for them to really maybe turn the corner. And we'll talk a little bit more later on how they've kind of pivoted their shows a little bit even since All Out. But I think part of that is this television rights deal is so damn important. They need this. They need this deal.
Yeah, they wanted to be like $1 billion. They wanted this deal to be for $1 billion essentially, and this evaluation of the deal isn't going to get them quite there. I think 170 kind of brings them in short in 4 years. But essentially, I think they wanted it to be around 250. But at the same time, this is just for this aspect of things. It doesn't include any kind of deals for pay-per-views. It doesn't include any other things. I hear that they're also shopping another show out to a broadcast network, not Fox. It's Fox. And because Fox had also said that they wanted to keep wrestling as part of their portfolio. WWE was just too expensive for what they wanted to do. So get the diet version of WWE, which would be AEW in this situation. No, that's not a good description of AEW. They're very, very different than WWE, in my opinion.
It's Coke and Pepsi.
Sure, give it, but yeah, I'm not going to over-rev on that. So I think that there's other ways to get ancillary income from other streams that might actually, over the next 4 years, bring those rights deals into about $1 billion.
I can see that.
Which is insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
So much money.
So much money. So much money. And he's already, well, his family's already billionaires.
Yeah, but he's been losing money for years. But like this deal will essentially
we'll
make
finally
the
bring
company
that money back.
Yeah, all of it back. Like the company will be in the black now, rather than just saying moving forward they'll be in the black. This will make up for everything.
Exactly. I think this is a great deal for them. I could only see them. The only reason why I would disagree about the Fox thing is AEW would have to tone down their television a lot for Fox. Just think about how much they think about how much Fox bleeped out or blanked out WWE in the last few months. And I get that, and they don't even go to the level that AEW does with a lot of stuff, even just verbally cursing. And they would have to tone down, unless they were putting it on a Fox affiliate of some sort.
No, this would be Fox. It'd be broadcast Fox.
On actual broadcast Fox. That's what I thought that's what you said before. That's the thing is Fox. It's one thing too, like a lot of the stuff they were trying was with WWE, at least with Fox, was with The Rock. The Rock is saying this. If you're gonna like we said then, if you're gonna kind of bend the rules a little bit, you're gonna do it for the biggest star in the world. You're not.
That's still assumption, though. You don't know that they don't write this into the deal, which it's a speculative deal to start with. So I understand that. But if they're a promotion that's different than WWE, this is what makes them different. This could be in their contract that they're allowed X amount of explicitives or whatever. A show, or in certain cases they're allowed to do it. They'll tone other things down to keep the censors happy. But at the end of the day, they can work into a deal anything they want. And Fox seems to be someone that wants wrestling on their channel, and I don't see anyone else going there. Like, I don't think anybody else is at the caliber to warrant a deal with Fox. TNA maybe, but but outside of TNA, there's no one else that would be able to do that unless it's Ring of Honor. But that is so Ring of Honor, low, that would still low production.
And Ring of Honor would still be Tony. It would still be AEW technically.
Yeah, but you could tone down Ring of Honor without hurting the AEW brand on what they're trying to build there.
Exactly.
So,
Hound, what do you think of the whole thing?
I will go back to one of the first things I said in one of the first shows I was on. Strong wrestling companies, regardless the 3 or 4 letters that define who they are, is very important for the industry as a whole. As much as we've been bashing AEW from All Out and then just some other gripes that we've had with their stylings, at no point is there please fail. It's please succeed. Find your lane. Make the ecosystem and the industry stronger and healthier for everybody. That's really what we want, because there's so many folks out there who are so talented who, up until recently, because they were 5'10", there wasn't a chance they were getting a WWE. And unless you became somebody who, if you got lucky enough to be a fan of a territory where somebody was big, you might get to know some people then who you're like, wow, they're so incredible, I can't believe this, but they just aren't the physical match that they're looking for. Maybe they're not as photogenic as somebody else out there, what have you. So I really hope for that. I don't think TNA is ready for Fox yet. They're getting there, but I think TNA needs a little bit more time to be hand in glove with WWE. They're consistently putting on the best product, at least in ring, bell to bell product, but they still are clearly a couple levels behind that, even NXT. So AEW is truthfully the only other one that you could get up there. And I believe AEW is trying to find their identity. I'm sure we'll talk about it more. I've been wondering if they've been trying to capture the old ECW type crowd. I'm hoping they're not, but we'll see what happens with that. But I want, regardless the 3 letters, regardless any of it, I want it to be strong, so that way folks have a place to go and you don't have to be pigeonholed into something. You don't have to run away because you were Stardust kind of thing. You can leave because you feel, okay, I'll shine better here.
But wouldn't Stardust shine?
Maybe. Well,
unless he's facing R-Truth. Because then...
This is true.
Because R-Truth still has that win over Stardust.
R-Truth is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Facts.
He'll kick Jacob Fatu's ass.
You're so afraid of Jacob Fatu.
I am. That's why I'm sacrificing R-Truth.
Let him just try to be friends with the Bloodline now.
Please do it. I need that laugh.
Oh my god! They can give each other grills advice.
Yeah, I mean, it would be watching R-Truth try to talk to Tama Tonga and what is that guy's name? Fala Ikavala. Tongaloa. That guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fala Ikalava.
Yes, that guy. And then Jacob Fatu just throwing him through a wall. Although, don't do that. R-Truth is a treasure.
Yes.
I'm
against all of this.
Just hug him.
He's a national treasure.
I'm just waiting for the day that R-Truth joins the Bloodline. Simple as that. He'll just show up one day being like, "Cuz," it'd be great.
You just see him walk out with the Ulafala. How did you get that?
I have never once put the ones to the sky, but if R-Truth joins, immediately.
The thought of it made you do it.
Yeah, it did. I acknowledge that R-Truth and Damian Sandow are my two favorite wrestlers of all time.
I acknowledge that R-Truth is my tribal chief.
I love it. Make that shirt happen now.
Oh, man. All right. Tony Schiavone, on his own podcast, kind of made light and jokes about the recent violence in AEW. I know we've kind of brought up the fact that All Out, kind of the last two matches, we said the majority of the card was pretty good. It's just those last two matches left a bad taste in our mouth, I guess, is the best way to say it. But on his podcast, Shivani said, within the last year, I got to see a home invasion. Someone burned someone's house down. Why not see a couple attempted murders? First attempted murders I've ever seen. Showtime, you're the one who brought up before the show.
Yeah, that's not true.
That's not true.
He's seen attempted murders before.
He's absolutely seen attempted murders before. Here's the thing. I know that this is going to be the point. I literally put this in the show doc just so I could rant a little bit. Tony Schiavone is the worst. He's literally the worst. He's the worst announcer. He was the worst announcer 30 years ago with WCW. He's still the worst announcer. It takes some... All he does is yell noises out or tell someone else that they made a good call. Where's your skill set, bud? Where's your skill set? Go back to baseball. I don't know.
I will say, so about the all-out violence, I was talking to you guys about this before. I've done some reflecting on this car as a whole. And I know, I feel like when we recorded last week, was that what it was?
It was.
I was still kind of in shock from how it escalated. Because when we actually got to the matches, we were pretty fair across the board. Some matches just needed to end earlier. They went to another level that we didn't need. They stopped being human. They started being superhuman. And that's not what wrestlers are. Wrestlers are humans. I know a lot of people, particularly the interview we had with Jim Molyneux when he wanted none of the supernatural stuff in there. Because they're supposed to be people. And agree with that aspect or not, and I have my own opinions, but he's right. They are supposed to be humans in this industry, and some of those matches went a little too far. The shock value of the plastic bag, if that was done in the main event in the unsanctioned cage match when they were going ultra violent, I think I personally would have reacted a little differently to it rather than it being what kicked off a night of the end of a night of ultra violence from out of nowhere. And maybe I just missed it, but the animosity between the Blackpool Combat Club hitting that fever pitch, I missed it. I didn't realize they were going to murder levels, and that was such a shock out of character for me that then when you went into a insanely violent match, turning off the lights, that just kind of kept escalating. It brought it to a level that it didn't need to be before you allowed the right people to bring it to a level where it needed to be. So just kind of reflections on it as we look back a week later as the shock has worn off for me. There is a place in wrestling for some of these crazy stunts. And Hound, I think you had mentioned it. There's some leagues out there that do it really well, and they should stay there for the most part. I get what AEW trying to do to a certain degree, maybe pander to an ECW crowd, maybe pander to just to find ways to be different than WWE, where WWE is still going to be PG, even if they don't have to be. And you just got to do it the right way. And I think that's what kind of caught me off guard. That plastic bag was in the wrong mode.
So before you joined the call, Steve and I were talking about this, and so we can use both the Osprey being superhuman, if you will. Osprey and Pac, they basically are. But listen, they're incredible athletes, freak athletes, but they are still flesh and blood and bone. And the ultra violent thing. So when we were talking about the review, I said my favorite match of the night was that 4-way because it was steak and potatoes. It was what it was. You knew what you were getting at. You can have a crazy Osprey style work rate match and everything else. That's your sugary sweet treat. The ultra violent thing once in a blue moon, that's your cocktail, if you will, however you want to look at it that way. But not every meal needs that. Once in a while, and it has to be done tastefully. I understand completely where you're getting at with the whole, if the plastic bag spot was done in an area where it made more sense, where it did make more sense there, I still think it's just the whole bag over the head thing. I still think had it just been wrapped around, it gets across what you need to get across, but it's not as, I feel like this is a website I shouldn't be on right now.
And I get that. Not that I condone that. I think that AEW, like the fact that it has the history in wrestling that it does. We were talking about the Funk Flair incident when it happened and how visceral of a reaction it got. AEW bringing it back 30 years later, in a different era to try to push the envelope in a way that has gotten that reaction in the past. Like I'm just saying, I get why you would choose that in that moment.
Yeah.
When they're trying to like really show like that Hangman Swerve blood feud. We talk about blood feuds a lot in wrestling. That was a real blood feud. They built that up in a violent way. Like I don't think that the CM Punk and Drew McIntyre blood feud is really a blood feud. Those are just two guys that are going at it that hate each other. Like the Swerve Hangman, like shit got real there in like kayfabe, whatever. But like they really did.
On a baby.
He cut a promo on a baby.
Cut a promo on a baby. Jesus.
So like on the baby Jesus.
Yes.
So
he did. You didn't hear that one. Pulled the Bible out and everything.
It just would have been done in the place it was supposed to be done.
Yeah. Where
I think it would, in my case, more understandable on where you were trying to push the envelope. Rather than, it felt more like, hey, let's do something crazy before the match so people are ready for a crazy match. So you don't need that shit. Leave it to the crazy match to be the crazy match.
And I think the message would have gotten across in a better way. The move at that point, in my opinion, was you're telling the story that Wheeler Yuta didn't know was coming, is what I gathered from that. So what you have happen is Pac does the same thing, Pac, and he holds Wheeler back. And Danielson gets hit with umpteen, Moxley DDTs or whatever. Or maybe Moxley puts on the Bulldog choke and doesn't let that go. Like have him, have
I
him
thought
hold
your
his
belt
breath.
comment was pretty good too.
Yeah. And, or while that's going on, like maybe Moxley's got him in that Bulldog choke and then Cesaro throws his legs up in a crab. Like really and don't, with the history of neck injuries and with Bryan Danielson being so beloved, you can get the crowd to have a visceral reaction. You can get folks who are suspending a little bit of disbelief to get some tears in their eyes over this, which is the reaction you're kind of hoping for there. You want the little kid in the crowd to be like, but is he okay, Dad? You don't want to be like, is he dead? Like, it just, is he okay? Not, is he dead?
He's dead, man. Yeah. Like, it's rare that you can get behind a "this is murder" chant.
That's what I'm saying, man. Jesus. Again, another Jesus. I'm gonna throw it to you guys this way too. I'm actually wondering. So we talked about if the bag spot was in the cage match instead. Sake of argument, the bag spot is in the cage match, and they don't have the syringe spot.
Yeah, I'm all out on that spot, no matter what. It
that's
has
what
no
I'm saying.
place in
And
wrestling.
I think a lot of people are glazing over the syringe because it just looks.
I'm not. I feel like we've revved pretty hard on that spot. I think that was unacceptable.
But I think other people are trying to play it off like all he did was sticking with the syringe. If you look, he injects, which is why we were saying it's a date rape spot.
Yeah,
like
100%.
He injects the syringe. That's my issue with that spot. Is if he had just stabbed him, sake of argument, or teased the stabbing. Again, I'm an old school wrestling fan. I'm an old school violent wrestling fan at times. There's the I Quit match between Tully and Magnum, and that match ended with Magnum putting a stake basically towards not a meat stake, a wooden stake towards Tully's eye, and that's where they got the I Quit out of him. That's huge.
Pun intended.
They if they didn't do the syringe and they just did the plastic bag, I think.
Yes, I'm sorry if that wasn't clear. I was kind of like swapping those spots because I actually didn't even want to acknowledge it because it's still like I can't defend that spot in any way, shape, or form.
So there's nothing with the injecting of anything at any point, like I referenced before, just law of large numbers. It's impossible for somebody not to have been or known somebody affected with something I don't even want to mention. But there's a way to even do that, which is you tease it and there's the whole big fight and it gets knocked out of his hands. It's like, oh my God, he really is a lunatic. And you can leave it at that and you're like, wow, I can't believe they even teased that. That's a different conversation than, do I got to call cops? It's a way different conversation right there.
We should have called the police on that. Like, hey, you need to get down to the arena.
Well, especially since when they did the spot too, he Swerve is so clearly just sitting there in a daze. Yeah. And then he gets hit with the chair.
Because he was drugged.
Yeah, because they drugged him. And I know they we'll get into it a little bit more how AEW has kind of pivoted since then. But I feel like we've kind of gotten on this for longer than we ever wanted to.
I just wanted to reflect because, you emotions get to you, then you can sit back and kind of re-look at kind of how your initial reaction based on your initial reaction, and then when you settle down, and I think there is areas to push the envelope. I don't want to make it seem like we don't want to see these guys be creative and do shit that that has shock value. And I was trying to justify where would that bag spot actually fit in the show, because I think that was the biggest part for me, was where you put it didn't fit. It's like you're stuck in traffic and then there's a triceratops next to you. Shit doesn't go there. Let's put it where it's supposed to go. So that's kind of the mindset that I was going there. And in wrestling and everything else, they're drugging somebody just doesn't fit. So
it's not okay.
I'll let you go to TNA. Transition.
Why don't we let's look at something that's
transition.
That's going to be kind of happier. We can talk about actual wrestling. TNA had their pay-per-view this weekend, Victory Road. Again, this was a really good card. We got Steve Macklin and Eric Young. They faced off against Jay Something and Hammerstone, and they actually Hammerstone and Something actually won. The end of the match was really good. It was a real cool finish with Eric Young proving to Macklin that he would kind of take the bullet for him in this case. It's almost the exact opposite of the A-Town Down Under storyline. They're fighting to trust each other, where A-Town Down Under is kind of fighting to they're fighting the urge to not trust each other. We also get the Hardy Boys win over First Class, which that also completely makes sense. This is the only one that makes a little bit less sense to me, and that's Mike Bailey gets the X Division title back from Zachary Wentz. I thought this was a little bit too quick. I also get that the X Division title can swap back and forth a little bit quicker than other titles, but I feel like this was a 2-week turn. It was exactly. It's a 2-week turnaround, and I thought we could have.
It was exactly the amount of time Zachary Wentz needed to go on NXT with the title and come back.
Basically,
just saying.
And I feel like Wentz is doing a little bit more on the NXT brand right now, and maybe that's why they don't want to have him there. But also, I would have liked to have seen him hold on to this for a little while longer. Maybe
Mike Bailey didn't have it all that long before he lost it to Zachary Wentz either.
Exactly. I think he had a full month though. I wouldn't have mind seeing a full month, maybe 6 weeks. Just I don't need the X Division title to be a lengthy title reign usually. I just need a little longer than what we got out of it.
The title always hot potatoes because it should with that style of matches. Those are work rate matches. And some kind of crazy double flip spot should take somebody out. And then the next week, when you run it back, the other person hit the double flip spot and
This time
took
they hit
them
a
out.
triple flip spot.
Exactly.
What?
I mean, Samoa Joe would hold it for longer periods of time because he hit a cartwheel.
And he'd move out of the way of the double flip spot.
The greatest spot of all time, yes.
Him just
I
walking
don't know.
away.
He actually had a better spot when he got thrown through a wall with a forklift.
Forklift Tazflex. So we get PCO and Rhino win over Matt Cardona and Steph Delander. I didn't get to see why Delander was in this match, but I know she's taking time off. She does actually have to have neck surgery now. So I don't think that this was because of this match. I believe that this was just something that was going on, and this was kind of her blow off to take some time off. Everyone involved in this match is usually pretty safe, so I don't think she got injured in this match, or if she did, I don't think it was anything necessarily overly dangerous that they did, other than the fact that they kind of do dangerous stuff. Spitfire gets to stay together because they won the Knockouts tag team title. After they win the tag team title, though, Alicia Edwards and Tasha Steelz, who was standing in for Alicia Edwards, jump Masha Slamovich, which thus turns Masha face, I guess. Again, she was the one who wasn't with the system, which always seemed weird. Like half their tag team champions were part of the system, and half of them weren't. We get Jordan Grace retains in an open challenge over Wendy Chu from NXT. And Nick Nemeth retains the title over Moose. And in this match, JBL actually helped Nemeth retain by eliminating most of the system on the outside of the ring. He didn't actually do anything to Moose because he knows that you shouldn't touch the heel.
Mm-hmm.
All around, a good pay-per-view. Again, TNA putting out a solid product. I appreciate their product. I actually, when you were saying that you don't think TNA has the chops to go onto network television, I think with WWE and NXT currently helping TNA, I could see that being the gateway to possible network television.
I don't disagree with that at all. I just don't think that the production quality right now is at broadcast standards. And
again, I agree with you there as well. Mm-hmm. I think if they get some type of contract, I think it could be one of those things like, hey, we're going to have to work on your production quality still because like, if you actually break it down, I think they have the talent for it. I just don't think they have the production for it.
That's exactly
I agree
what
with
I said.
What's that, Hound?
That's exactly what I said. I said TNA just needs more time hand in glove with WWE. Not that they don't have the best stuff out there. They need some time to be polished.
But we talk about it every week how like match of the week comes from TNA. Like almost without fail.
Without fail, like whatever. One of us has a favorite match that we have to talk about, and it comes from TNA. Mm-hmm. And the match, and it's not just that, but the rest of the show makes sense. I know that's a scary concept to some people, but the entirety of the show made sense. Weird. Psychology.
They would also, I think, if they went to broadcast too, they would have to do live shows. I mean, no, SmackDown was
pre-taped for a while, and okay. I believe NXT was pre-taped for a little while too.
Okay, I'll retract that statement. It does make it better though. Live is always better.
It does make it better. I think they would have to do less tapings. They wouldn't be able to do 2 or 3 at once, or 3 or 4 at once. They'd have to do maybe like one pre-taped earlier in the week. Like they might be able to put it out later in the week and tape it earlier in the week type of situation. Like,
stop going in front of those Albany crowds.
Maybe Albany will be better for Fox.
Maybe. One can only hope. They can't be worse.
Doubtful. You put out that challenge. Now Albany's going to be worse.
Are we building towards JBL getting in the ring again?
I don't know if he can.
Why not? Hey, Hound, I think you'd have an interesting perspective on this. So his brawling style, and like working with someone, let's say he works with someone like a Nemeth, who's a veteran in his own right. You think JBL can hang?
I think he can be carried through a match, but I don't think that's even what he wants. I think we're building towards a long-term payoff, like when eventually Rhea riptides Dom. We're going to build towards a clothesline from hell to whomever this is. That's going to be the crescendo of a story. But does he have another clothesline from hell or three in him? 100%. Is he going in a match and taking 6 bumps? Probably not.
Is it Morales and he hostile take over TNA?
I hope so. It'd be fun.
That'd be cool.
I definitely think it's leading to something like that. I think he's gonna either do some type of hostile takeover. He's forming some type of stable.
We were talking about the system needing a manager, and JBL does fit that bill.
He does, but he's the last 2 pay-per-views he's beat them up.
Sure, yes.
Or is this his way of saying, "Hey, you need me, and this is the proof that you need me"?
And someone who goes to a heel faction never starts out face and double crosses the baby face to get the title back.
That never ever happened.
Never happened.
Never happened in the history of wrestling. I can't believe you would even bring that up.
I don't know. I don't know why I said it.
God, it's not like the most magical popular spot in all of wrestling was ever, Bash at the Beach 1996 and a beloved superhero double crossed everybody.
This is a trope that does not exist. Stop it.
Like the kids say, wrestling tropes.
I'm just happy I learned a word that the kids say.
I'm trying to forget some of them. Moving on, we do get the number 2 promotion, that is AEW, and Dynamite opens up with Christian. He states that that it's a guarantee that he's going to be the next AEW champion. Showtime, was it you or was it Hound that I thought said it's almost a guarantee that Christian is going to end?
Yeah, I think it was me. It might have been Hound as well. But it's only because Tony Khan can't quit Christian. I think that's how I said it. I was like, I just can't quit you, Christian. Giving Christian the honor of retiring Danielson fits the bill.
Because Christian needs that rub.
Yeah, exactly.
He hasn't done enough.
Oh no. It just clicked to me where this is all heading. Because it is going to be Christian. God damn it. This is how Adam Copeland gets the world title.
This is exactly how Adam Copeland gets the world title.
I see that.
And in the brand new promotion,
his family, leave him alone.
The young guy promotion, the promotion that ignites the fan base with all these young and athletic and amazing athletes. The championship title will have had 3 50-year-olds.
It's inevitable. That's how it works. Seniority means more in wrestling.
Apparently. So
always has.
What one of the things that Christian says is I just laughed about it because Hound said he learned a new word that the kids say. Christian says during his promo that his son his son Nick Wayne told him that he has infinite aura. I guess that's something the kids are saying now too. I don't know.
That sounds like the Riz.
It definitely sounds like a little bit of Riz. Christian might be the new Wizard of Oz, if you will.
I could see him saying that.
I could definitely see him saying that. The next thing we get is Don Callis and the Callis family are talking to Will Ospreay because Ospreay has never lost a gauntlet match. And he calls in his favor that Ospreay owes him so that he has to team with Kyle Fletcher for the Tag Team Casino Gauntlet. the winner of the gauntlet gets a match against the Young Bucks at Grand Slam. Does this absolutely just reek of the Callis family eventually double-crossing Ospreay, right? Like, this is happening.
I don't understand why it hasn't happened already. So at this point in time, I don't think it should. Like,
this isn't
I
even
feel like
long-term storyline.
These days, the only heel of the Don Callis family is Don Callis. Right? Like, Takeshita kind of seems like a face these days, at least not a heel. And Fletcher has gone pretty babyface when it comes to Ospreay. I don't know. Like, this is a face faction with a heel manager.
I mean, that's how you get over in AEW.
We all seem fans of swerves, not just Strickland. The ultimate swerve at this point would be for them not to turn on Will, and for it to all be like, no, like we're legitimately in your corner. We love you. You know, it's this is a family, and to be like,
or do they just turn on Don Callis?
I don't think you can do that either.
No.
I don't even know what they do at this point, because they just keep going back to this, and it's like, is this it? Is this when they're going to do it?
Oh my gosh! You just said it's Tony Khan's influence, because Tony Khan can't quit Christian and they can't quit Don Callis. This is oh my god.
Well, I want Don Callis to have. Sorry, Hound. You finish. I'll jump in afterwards. Go for it.
It stopped me from making a joke that wasn't going to land, and I'm glad.
Good. I'm here to save you then. So the Don Callis, I want him to be essentially their Paul Heyman. Not necessarily like the same person, but like Don Callis should have some sway and like hook people up with matches that no one else can get because he's Don Callis. Like, that's how they've built him up at this place. And they can be face, they can be heel. It doesn't matter. He can sit there and be the Weasley agent almost kind of person on the at the table, because even with good guys, he does the things to get them in the position to be where they need to be in their career. This whole I liked what you said, Hound. Like, this is a family. Even though one of the family members decided to leave, we still love you over there, and just leave it there, because you had your opportunity to double cross him numerous times. Should have taken it.
The last 10 months, basically.
Yeah. Now it's too late.
The last double cross you've seen with Callis was when he double crossed Kenny Omega, and he stayed pretty, even since then. It makes me wonder that I know Kenny Omega has been dealing with some actual health issues. It makes me wonder if this is somehow a storyline that's going to tie in when he's cleared again, because I could see them trying to keep that somewhat relevant until you bring him back, because love him or hate him, Kenny Omega is a huge part of AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And him not being there is certainly not helping the promotion, but he does need to get healthy. I wonder if, because Omega had those matches with Ospreay. Omega had a very good match with Takeshita. I mean, I've only seen a handful of Omega matches where I was like, well, that wasn't very good. Normally, it's just a very solid match with him. Just keep him away from a microphone. But other than that, I wonder.
Voice?
Well, when he told everybody they were kittens and something about going in a litter box, and that's when I was like, okay, stop talking now. But I wonder if that's got something to do with it. And maybe Omega's closer to being back than we realize. Because, I mean, here comes Grand Slam. There's going to be all this. I don't think Moxley's walking with that title, because I do think he's going to get a title shot. I wonder if one of the big things that night is we see Omega back, and it would be cool if it didn't get spoiled.
Who knows? I mean, they haven't said anything, and I don't know what the recovery time is off of surgery for diverticulitis. Or what level of the surgery or how severe it was for him to begin with. So,
I know coming back is dangerous, man. Like one bad bump could literally be the end.
That's the thing is depending on how bad he had it, or how much of how invasive the surgery was, also depends on a lot of it. And a lot of times you have to take the time off just to fix the entirety of your lifestyle, your diet and things like that. That's why what was it, Brock Lesnar, when he was in UFC, that was when they found out he had diverticulitis, and he had to take off how was like a year between championship matches because he was literally trying to figure out how he could, live.
Well, Lesnar was out for quite a while, and yeah, it was a case of, okay, let me not die. But I'm very certain he's already had the surgery, and I know he had a substantial amount of intestine removed. While we were doing that, I decided to kind of geek out and be like, you know what, I'm curious. And there's a story saying right now that he has been seen training in ring again with Ibushi getting ready. So it may be have kept quiet and be right around the corner, which I'm an Omega fan. I like him. And he's been gone long enough where I'd be like, hooray, it's Kenny Omega.
I think he's a big star. I think that would be a big bump up for AEW as well. Something that's not gonna help them in any way, shape, or form, I think, is this dumb Hangman Jeff Jarrett thing. Is anyone in on this? Like, I don't see this being good. I think this is like switching off of this blood feud with Swerve and then having a seemingly up and down feud with Jeff Jarrett. Just seems like this is not the way to promote afterwards.
This is why ginger is served with sushi. This is legitimately a palate cleanser, and it's trying to distance that stuff. You kind of this is all that is. Not a fan of it. I think it's silly, but I think I'm also still a bit jaded about Adam Page not attempting to drug his next opponent.
That's fair. We get Ricochet versus Sammy Guevara in a really good match. I think, and again, I hate being this guy, but I feel like I got more out of Sammy during this match than I did Ricochet. And the question I wanted to pose to you gentlemen is, have we gotten enough out of Ricochet? Like, does he have the potential to be a real player? He is admittedly from himself, not a good promo. Is just being an athletic wrestler enough in this day and age?
I think he needs someone to help him with his promos. Like even Will Ospreay doesn't put together the most traditional promo. Like he's real, so like which I like, bruv. But Ricochet's rough, man. Particularly without the WWE writers to help him. Like he needs someone to write, someone to direct him. He needs to do more writing or whatever it needs to be. I'm not sure, but if he wants to be a top guy, he needs to fix that, or get someone like Don Callis to do the talking for him.
I've also always said Ricochet's kind of a natural heel. His attitude, how he comes across. The problem is he's so good, it's hard to boo him.
Ricochet would be doing himself a massive favor right now if he didn't debut as Ricochet. If he debuted as, was he Prince Puma in
Prince Puma?
If it was that, and have him under a hood, have him not talk, and like Mr. Wright said, have a Don Callis be like the newest member of our family, and you save Ricochet from himself. It also doesn't help. It's the tone of his voice is not even close to threatening. So it's like, even if he's trying to tell me he's mad, I'm like, aw, he's upset.
Oh, someone missed his nap today.
Yeah, basically.
So he's like the Michael Jackson of pro wrestling. Like, even when he's mad at you, you're kind of just, it's okay. Keep yelling at me in that whisper.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it's something about it's the pitch of his voice. It's like bad car salesman-y. And so that way it doesn't threaten me in the slightest. Like, oh, you're mad at me. What are you going to do? Jump and flip at me? I'll just be Samoa Joe and walk away. Like, it's okay. I'll still get hit. Samoa Joe's better than me. I'd screw the whole thing up and just get wiped out.
Like I said, I just don't see him. Obviously, they're building towards him and Ospreay, but I kind of feel like once him and Ospreay are done, there's nothing else for him.
There's a lot for him.
4 months.
There's still a lot for him. That's the thing, because you do have, and again, there could be a lot of nerves behind this, because Ricochet was an indie darling. You know, I mean, if anybody who's listening, if you type in Ricochet in like PWG highlights, you'll see some stuff where you're like, good God in heaven, humans can do that. He may be chasing the ghost of his own past, and that's the thing, you know, we get older. It gets harder to move. You know, you don't stay a young man forever, or a young woman forever.
Speak for yourself. I'm a young chicken over here.
There's so much white over there.
Technically, you are the youngest of the group here.
It's the light. It's just washing me out right now. It's the wrong light.
I mean, listen, out of this group, technically, you are the youngest.
Technically, that's all that matters.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
But by default, you are the two greatest words in the English language.
But
default.
And that's what I wonder is, you know, everybody's like, oh, Ricochet and Ospreay. I know Steve and I have talked about this. I know Mike and I, Mr. Wright and I, Showtime over here, we've never actually like discussed MMA and stuff together or boxing matches. We've talked wrestling, but Steve and I have discussed every level of combat sport, and there was a phrase we've said. We've seen incredible fighters and incredible performers. You've seen them get old in a match. And it can happen to anybody. You got to wonder, is this happening to Ricochet before our eyes right now? Because he's not that young of a man anymore. What is he? He's mid-30s at this point?
I think so, yeah.
And he has been on a constant 720 whatever rotating spree for a while. There's only so much of that the human body can take. That's a lot of G-forces.
I would say I think he's closer to our age than
I'm gonna look it up.
Than like Ospreay is. Because I think Ospreay's in his like early 30s. And I think Ricochet's probably in his mid 30s. Which I'm not saying he's old by any means, but
he is exactly in his mid 30s, and he will be celebrating a birthday relatively soon. He is 35 years young.
Good for him. We get next up. We get what Hound has been praying for: more Takeshita and Okada tease. I want this. I actually have it written here. This could be the match for Okada we all really want. All I want to see is an Okada match that makes the Trust Fund Baby label worth it for him. And I haven't really seen it yet.
I think Okada's one of them people where he's undeniably good. He's a very good worker. But he can only shine if he has a dance partner who can help him shine. And I think Takeshita is that guy. Because Takeshita has looked great with everybody. I mean, you know, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people know about the classics between Okada and Omega. Takeshita had a classic with Omega. Okada had classics with Ospreay. Takeshita had a classic with Ospreay. I think there's something there. I think you might even be able to say, like, Takeshita is, had they stayed in Japan and had he made his way over to New Japan, Takeshita would eventually become the next Okada. Or at least hit that star level.
I could absolutely
see that. Instead, he's in AEW and is a jobber these days.
I think he's our next Continental Champion, and I'm all here for it.
I agree with that statement.
And then
I agree with that as well, and I'm definitely
Okada
here for
towards the world title.
My thing is I think Takeshita is, out of all the Japanese wrestlers that they brought in on a regular basis, whether it's just over from New Japan as a borrowing or signed, I think Takeshita is the best one that they've had that we've gotten, even better than Okada. I think 100%. I think he's younger. I think he's bigger. I think he looks more the part, and he puts on great matches. Going from there, we finally get this confrontation between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. And this causes some booking confusion. So, according to Jon Moxley, Darby is not ready for his world title shot. He wasn't ready 5 years ago. He's not ready 2 years ago. He's not ready now. Who knows when he'll be ready? And it doesn't matter because he's not getting his title shot at Grand Slam anyway because Moxley put Bryan Danielson on the shelf. Showtime. Last week, you literally asked me if this match was still definitely happening. Well, here you go, buddy.
Yep, it didn't seem like it.
As of last week, this match was still happening, though. When we said those words, yes, this match was still happening. This ended with Darby and Mox basically deciding they're going to have a match at Grand Slam for Darby's title shot. I think we're all in agreement also that Mox is going to win this title shot, right? Like he's gonna take this.
This feels almost like a new Eliminator match.
I don't think there's a world where Darby's going to win this match, but I think this is the single dumbest premise of all time. This is, hey, I want what you have. Okay, I'll risk it with no upside for me.
No upside whatsoever. None whatsoever. Not like, hey, if I win, you retire. If I win, I get Marina, which I don't know if that's an upside. But, like, nothing about this. Nothing about this is an upside for him. And I said it when I was watching it originally. I don't know why you would do this. He didn't even provoke him that much.
I wonder if this was the plan all along, because Moxley could very well be another Tony Khan darling. And I wonder if this was the plan totally all along to somehow get the belt back to him and then have, Moxley take out Danielson and have everybody being like, oh my God, I can't believe that happens. And then Christian take it from Moxley and us being like, you know what? I'm
Money in the bank.
Okay with it now. I mean, I am looking forward to Christian as the champion. I am kind of I love his promos. They genuinely do tickle me a little bit, and I'm looking forward to him with the whole I told you so stuff. I'm kind of looking forward to that smugness.
I like Christian. I don't know if I want him as a world champion right now. The whole thing with Mox and Darby, though, just
I could do without it.
That's where we're at with it.
I'm not a big Darby guy, and I thought I was a Moxley guy until I thought more and realized I wasn't a Moxley guy.
I was a Moxley guy up until, I don't know, maybe a year into his AEW run, and then I realized, you can't keep a match in the ring for longer than 2 seconds, bud.
I'm happy for him. I hope he's happy. I hope they're safe, but let's not murder Darby Allin.
Yeah, I actually did enjoy Darby line.
Darby's kind of asking for it, though, isn't he?
I mean, he did ask him if he was drinking again.
He just Darby's always looking to get murdered by buses, by spiked cleat Reebok pumps, by whatever,
by Mount Everest.
Yeah.
I still don't want him to actually get murdered.
I'm just saying. Seems like he's got a death wish.
It's what he wants, man. Let him have what he wants.
Okay. And I would like to eat a tub of ice cream. That's not going to help me reach my goals. Sometimes
I'm going to let you have what you want too.
Huh?
I'll let you have what you want to.
I won't let me have what I want. Discipline.
So we get Mariah May calling Mina Shirakawa to come back to AEW or to come back to her. I don't know if this is the lead up to a match.
It definitely is.
It's got to be, but I don't know if this is a lead up to the match in the sense that Mariah is calling her because, hey, I made my choice and I want, it needs to be just me and you. And Mina's going to kind of fire back and be like, you kind of killed Tony Storm. We didn't want that. I thought we were all in this together. I could see it going either way.
I know how I want it to go. I really know how I want it to go. I want the I'm gonna butcher her name. The other name, not Mariah May right now. Forgive me, it's getting late, and I was going to stumble over those syllables.
Mina Shirakawa.
Those words. And what I want is her to buy hook, line, and sinker, and have Mariah May go further down the just you are completely detestable hole. I'm loving it.
I actually wouldn't mind that. I think that's a really good. Like if she would really go along with it, and then Mariah just
break her heart, like to the point where when you look and you have her look up at the camera with sad puppy eyes, and you're just like, oh, I feel bad now.
Oh, poor little Japanese lady. And here's where the booking gets even more muddy. We're just going to throw more mud on this booking. Nigel McGuinness comes out and states that he has a contract to face Bryan Danielson at Grand Slam, not for the title. But I thought we had already established that Bryan Danielson was not cleared like 2 segments before this.
I thought we established that Bryan Danielson was murdered.
He's dead.
This is an unfair match.
Unsanctioned.
Will not be there.
Nigel McGuinness is going to wrestle a hologram. Not the wrestler hologram, like an actual, like, technological hologram.
I get we're on the Danielson's Greatest Hits tour, and I get that they had some wars in ROH. Nigel McGuinness hasn't been in a ring in a long time. I don't see this ending. They're not going to recapture that glory. They might recapture 3-4 minutes of it, but that's about it.
And he said that the contract is signed, like the match is good to go. And then the next thing he said when he was on commentary on Collision was, if he doesn't show up, it's not because he's not cleared, it's because he's afraid. Well, if the match got signed, he needs to be cleared, right? Like that's how matches work. That's how you make matches, right? Like I'm not thinking that far outside the box here, right? Like that's how this is supposed to go.
Hey Steven, leave your logic at the door, bud.
I know
we're talking AEW.
I know what I want to happen now that we're talking about this. I want Nigel McGuinness to get out there, and then Christian to come out there and somehow tell him he's Nigel McGuinness's father. I just get to it. I want that now.
But why?
Do you think I need a reason to justify this?
That's fair. Okay, good enough. I mean, AEW doesn't need reasons for anything. So we finished the night off with Ospreay and Fletcher winning the gauntlet, and they receive a tag team title shot at Grand Slam. The only other
double titles.
I mean, they're not going to win the double titles though, because the Bucks are never going to release those things. You're going to have to pry those things out of the Young Bucks' cold, dead hands.
I got a feeling you're wrong. I got a weird feeling that they are going to drop them.
You think they're going to drop them?
I do. I got a weird feeling about it.
Does this go along with the idea that Fletcher and the Callis family are not going to double cross him?
Yep. I think there's something moving behind the scenes we can't even see.
That's why it's behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Is that who it is? Is that part of his retirement tour?
It might be.
Oh man. The other stuff we got out of this was a little bit more of FTR versus the Grizzled Young Vets, moving their storyline along a little bit. And the only thing of interest in any of the other AEW shows was they finally had Wheeler Yuta's first match. I say finally, it was only a week later. But they had Wheeler Yuta's first match since everything that happened at All Out. I like what they're doing with him. He walked to the ring in a daze. He wasn't really there. The guy he ended up wrestling said he's going to take him out just like they took out Bryan Danielson, and he snapped. And I like again, Wheeler Yuta is the only part of this whole scenario that I'm really liking what they're doing with him right now.
It's believable.
It's believable. He's traumatized. He's he's having PTSD type stuff.
Well,
I think that's.
Think back
and
to
he's a
Yuta
good worker.
Getting into Blackpool Combat Club. Think all the way back to that, what he had to go through. Think of the wars he had to go through with Danielson, with Moxley, with Regal at the time. I have a feeling that, and this is a great character development arc. They have a chance to capture some AEW lightning in a bottle here with him. You have a chance to push Wheeler Yuta into something more than he is presently. But it's got to be handled well, and it has to move at the right pacing. If they push this too quickly, you kill it. And if you don't do something with it, like, I think you've got 3 months here to move this thing the right way. I think you have 90 days.
But like you said, it has to be at the right pace. Like you have to get the payoff at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to have all the steps before the payoff at the right moment. And that's always kind of where we have some questions about it. And I keep saying about the Collision. Collision is just a show with matches on it. There's no real storyline being told there. They're just, aside from Wheeler Yuta, that was the only thing that they did any storyline wise on there. The rest of it was just, hey, we've got 2 hours. Let's throw some matches together. We're gonna do 3 more trios matches.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. It really
feels, in all honesty, Collision feels like when we were kids watching Saturday Morning Superstars. Like, you might not really get much of what the storyline going in was, but you got to see The Undertaker beat up a job guy. Like, it just feels like that.
I think they could have something special, and it could really tickle the nostalgia for folks like us. If every once in a while they lean into it and they have, this person versus this local talent, and just do something like that and lean into it a little bit, where we're like, hey, cool, and brings you back to being 8 years old staring at the TV on Saturday morning.
It's probably a better option at this point. But that was the week in AEW. Again, folks, next week, all of AEW will be covered by Hound and myself. And all of the WWE and TNA stuff will be covered by Showtime and myself. So we will, like I said, it'll give you a little bit shorter episodes probably, but also more in-depth episodes as far as how we cover things. So just wanted to get that in there before we go to SmackDown. Show doc got all weird over here for a second. We're going to go to SmackDown with their very first episode on USA. This is kind of cool. They've been on Fox for a minute. This was a nice build into it. I thought they did a lot of cool stuff with the different video packages and just the history of SmackDown in general. And they opened the show with a WWE Championship steel cage match. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, versus the faux tribal chief, Solo Sikoa.
Don't be biased, Steve. You're better than that. This match was good too. This is a good cage match.
This was a good cage match. I like the ending. I like everything about this match. And if you're going to do something like this on free television, I thought this was the perfect way to do it.
I'm just not sure where they go from here, to be honest with you. Like, the Solo Cody story is kind of done for me.
So that was where they go. That's kind of where they go after this is... I'll get a little bit more into this. But the match itself was good. again, I like the end of it with Roman kind of saving him from the bloodline a bit. I want to point out that they're pretty much admitting now how special Jacob Fatu is.
Mhm.
Because at the end of everything, Jacob's on the outside of the cage and Roman's on the inside, and he's just calling them in. And you can hear and feel the crowd just rumbling for it. Like this is what they want. They want Roman and they want Jacob. And I love the fact that they're not letting them touch just yet. This is something we really need to invest money into.
To build.
I'm not a fan. I want Cody away from the bloodline for now. I really do. It's time. I think the world title itself has been close to the bloodline now for going on 5 years consecutive.
I think it's over 5 years at this point now.
So it's time now. Put some distance. Look, it's not going to be long until it ends up back over there. But I think now we have to pivot towards Orton Cody, because I think that's inevitable. And I don't. I love the cage match. I don't like where it's going. When that ended, I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit, but I don't like where it's going.
So right after that, we get a little bit with Aldis talking about how Solo has an idea for this. They've gotten everyone away from each other. I like that they said they had to lock everybody into their own locker rooms type of situation to make sure that no one else. I like things like that where this is a little different. This feels a little bit more realistic, where they're not insulting our intelligence, that you can just go and do whatever. And then we get Orton and Owens against A-Town Down Under. Originally, it was Owens and local guy Ricky.
George the Animal Steel's son, if I'm correct.
I think it might be. And local guy Ricky, unfortunately, ended up taking a stunner. He took it really well. And then we get a stunner RKO combination to beat A-Town Down Under in kind of it was a fun match. A little bit of a filler, but it's fun. We get face Orton, we get face Owens. We get Owens doing maybe one of the funniest hot tags ever, where he ran outside the ring and ran all the way to his own corner and got the tag that way. He does some dumb stuff sometimes that I don't know why it pops me, because it shouldn't, but it does because it's Owens.
So I have. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
I would like to see Owens and Orton go for a run on the tag team titles here. I think that they've been set up. They've been teasing this team for so long to go and do something with them. And it might be too long, too, that they kind of missed the boat. But I would like to see them kind of do at least a quick little tag team title run.
You know what I haven't seen anybody suggest, and I think it would be hilarious, since Owens and Orton have a history of turning on their partners, having them attempting to turn on each other like at the same time in such a way it makes them bond even more.
I love it.
I'd pop for that.
Like, did we just become best friends? Yup.
like they both happen to have like a steel chair and they go to turn around and hit each other at the same time. It's like, oh, wait. Oh, we're both jerks. Okay.
It's something like that, and then have them both turn on Cody.
Which they kind of teased that a bit during the Mania 3-way, where they were like, something would happen. They'd be like, you know who I am. Like, you know.
Yeah, that was more Orton than Owens, but yeah.
I would love
that. So after that, I believe that was when we got Nick Aldis coming back out and saying that Solo has suggested that we get a tag team match at Bad Blood with Jacob Fatu and Solo versus Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, which is the exact opposite of what wants to happen.
The big thing here is it's now being shown, it's not being hidden. and they're building towards the fact that Jacob is special. That Solo's never going to be Jacob. Solo is a better pro wrestler than I could have ever hoped to have been. Solo is a good pro wrestler. He is, and he's getting better week over week, promo-wise, carrying more of a presence. Jacob Fatu is a once-in-a-lifetime.
I was going to say, Jacob's special.
Yeah, Roman Reigns is special. Roman Reigns never needs the world title again. He's Undertaker status where he's bigger than the belt. And I think you're going to have, what are you going to do? Have exclusively Cody and Jacob touch in that tag match? It's dumb to waste that at Bad Blood. That is meant to be at Survivor Series, the first real locking of horns between them when they go down the whole Bloodline v Bloodline
route. To Hound's credit, though, he did call this one is that was Cody walking in going, I don't want to be a part of this. Like, I'm done with the Bloodline. I've beaten everybody. And I kind of agreed with him on that one. But sorry, Showtime, I cut you off for a second.
That's all right. Anyone see this being kind of a Cody double cross? Like, what if Roman isn't on the opposite side of the Bloodline? If we take a quick little walk, Roman said that Solo was going to be the one that becomes the head of the table next. He was the chosen man. We had that whole storyline for a very long time. This all kind of, like, you're right, Hound. It doesn't make sense to do this, and they know better than that. If this was AEW, I don't think that they would know better than that. But WWE knows how to build. So is this just kind of a long drawn out way to double cross Cody, and like Roman doesn't show up and it's a 2-on-1 or something along those lines?
I pray not, because the moment you do that, you've extended Cody in the Bloodline.
Yeah, he's not getting away from the Bloodline. He's got to fight The Rock at WrestleMania.
So, has anyone else seen the meme?
We still have a ways to go to Mania, though.
Just saying.
We can get him away for 5 months.
Has anyone else though seen the meme where it's like, it's the Seth Rollins with the big surprise face, and it's like the face Seth Rollins makes when he realizes he took a bullet for Cody at WrestleMania, and now he's tag teaming with Roman? Like, I was like, I hadn't even really thought of it, but now that it's out there, poor guy.
It's oh my gosh. The Bloodline, I know they mention it in like terms of innings. At least when Heyman did that. I think we're not going to know what's going to happen with this until after Survivor Series. And the way I see Survivor Series playing out, I see Solo's team on top because of The Rock, and I don't think it's going to be The Rock and Cody at Mania. I think we're getting The Rock and Roman for the Ula Fala and head of the table.
You might be right.
I can see that.
I'm still convinced The Rock is going to win the Royal Rumble and he's going to fight.
Only if he eliminates Joe Hendry.
I'm sticking with the number 31 spot.
Well, I'm with you.
I think we're heading towards the whole thing where Roman gets close to his Ula Fala and just never quite gets it. And then finally The Rock comes back. Finally. And Solo takes it off his neck and puts it on The Rock. And says by orders of the tribal chief.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
I can see that.
But that's Survivor Series, right?
We're close to Survivor Series. We're close.
That's what I mean. That's going to be next. So by the time we get to Mania, it's going to be The Rock versus Cody. I think The Rock.
I think it's great. I think you could. I think it's better for Cody to get him to Orton right now. I think it's better for the Bloodline story to push it forward. Do not delay this another year, because we talked about it earlier. You don't get younger. I understand The Rock has taken a cycle or 9. He's still
this month. He took 9 this month.
He's still 50 plus. And
not really wrestling. Let's not forget about it. He hasn't been truly active even with the stuff he did for Mania, he wasn't exactly in there.
And that's what I mean. I think him and Roman can have the spectacle match because they're of the same physical stature. While The Rock may be bigger and a little bit more of musculature, they're still the same sized human. Cody is not the same sized human. Cody needs to move with speed and all that, and I don't think The Rock can go for 15 minutes doing that. I think him and Roman could go for a half an hour, since 70% of that match will be rest spots.
And them staring at each other.
And the entrance?
Yeah, don't forget the entrance. 30-minute entrances.
Oh, perfect.
And that's just The Rock.
Okay, perfect. The Rock comes down, gets speared, and it's over. Perfect.
Done.
I think you're not giving The Rock enough credit and the power that he wields. I think that he's going to win stuff.
Look, ultimately he's going to end up eliminating Joe Hendry, and I believe, and I'm sad about it, because Joe Hendry is a big goofy idiot, and I think I love him.
I think that his pop at the Royal Rumble is going to be the biggest one.
Can you imagine if he doesn't happen? The visceral disappointment when everybody's sitting there going, "Where is it? Where is it?"
If he doesn't enter, I guarantee you a Joe Hendry chant happens. Like, there's somewhere along the lines, the whole crowd's going, "We believe, we believe," and then he doesn't come out. That'd be such a disappointment.
What if they're banking on that? And we don't know what number he's going to be when the Hendry chant starts because someone said his name. He appeared.
That would be. I'm all
That'd be amazing. That would be so good. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm more in than I'm in for this tag team match at Bad Blood.
I'm out for that.
And I'm out.
I don't give a damn about it.
A tag team match I am interested in, though, is this Tiffany and Nia versus Naomi and Bayley next week. I really, really think that this is... We're all banking on just that Tiffany is going to turn on Nia and, like, cash in on her. I think she is going to cash in on her. But I think it's because Nia's going to turn on Tiffany. I'm still going that way. Like, it's...
I'm in on anything Bayley's in.
I know.
I heart Bayley.
I think Naomi wins this one, though.
So, I actually like the stipulations in this match. I like that whoever gets the pinfall, if it's either Naomi or Bayley, they're the ones who get the title shot at Bad Blood. But if Tiffany and Nia win, whoever they pin has to leave SmackDown for good. I wouldn't be surprised if this is also a situation where maybe they win and Bayley gets pinned, or one of them gets pinned just so that they can get them over to Raw.
Tiffany's pinning Bayley.
I could see that.
I think Naomi wins and goes up against Nia.
You think so? I mean, I could see either one. I could see this working either way. I think...
And it could be a backfire where whoever gets pinned accidentally gets hit by the other one. And that starts building the animosity.
I mean, they've been doing that for the last couple of weeks. It's so-and-so needs this, they screwed it up. So-and-so does this, they screw it up. It's all going to build to... I wouldn't be surprised if Tiffany has to cash in on like a clean match. Like, she doesn't cash in after Nia's been beaten up. She does it just on a match, just to take the match. Which they could also play off as her being young and naive.
Sure. I mean, I feel like that's been done on the ground, but I can see it happening.
We get Andrade finally comes out in the series against Carmelo and becomes the new #1 contender for the U.S. title and LA Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this will be a really good match. If we're getting this match at Bad Blood, I'm actually kind of excited about that. Although I could see this not being at Bad Blood because they don't really have Bad Blood. And this could be one of those matches that gets thrown on the night before at SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, there's already way too many matches. The Bad Blood can only be at most 6 matches.
That's true. Actually, I think that they might have said that they're going against each other next week or the week after. So there's that. And at the end of the show, we officially get Cody and Roman versus Jacob and Solo. They both, Cody and Roman both signed the contract. They get the big crowd pop. Just not on this show. We are not for this match.
I mean, I'll trust and give WWE the benefit of the doubt. Their booking has been good for a long, long time, and maybe we don't see it. You know, we're watching the magician's hands and we're missing the trick. But that being said, the best part of that whole thing for me was the camera on Solo and him going, "He ain't going to sign it. He don't like you." I was like,
I was cracking up for that one. Well, that was SmackDown. Moving over to the A show in what I believe is going to be the last 3-hour Raw that we're going to see for a good long time.
Until Netflix.
Until at least Netflix. And they said it might not go back to 3 hours even on Netflix.
Good.
Well, the cool thing about the Netflix deal is that they don't have to be beholden to a time.
No, not whatsoever. And I've heard that they are still going to have some sort of commercials in them, but since they don't have to be as strict with television policies, they can put the commercials in where they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then this way you don't get the WWE formula for a match, which is lock up 2 minutes commercial. Out of a 7-minute match, you get 2 commercial breaks.
Well,
I hate that.
They can front load the program too. Like
exactly.
When there's a bunch of stuff that you know, it doesn't matter. We're building towards what the big deal is for the night. You can front load the program and set this up so everybody expects at least once a month, we get a good 30-minute. I'd call it a Broadway for a weekly show, but we get a good 30-minute with worth seeing.
So Raw this week opened with the Second City Saint, Mr. CM Punk, guy who says in his promo he is not a good guy. Showtime, I guess you'd agree with this one.
Hey, I mean, I buy that he understands who he is. No one else does.
He said that in the I thought this was a really good promo. I think Punk has been
doing
really good work this whole time. Again, I think him and Drew McIntyre are printing money right now. This is actually, these matches and this program is what I'm tuning into WWE most for right now.
Yeah, I'm loving this feud. And I think what he does in this promo more than anyone's been able to do in a while is get the Hell in the Cell over. Like it feels like it's lost that luster. That because it just turned into a stipulation where now like he really did kind of play up that gimmick.
It's dangerous. It's a cage match. It's a cage match with a cover. Like it's going to be dangerous, and I like that he played that up. Here's my question: with everything that's going on, it's a cage match, or it's a Hell in a Cell match. Do you close the show at Bad Blood with this?
You might.
I can see them closing. I can see it.
There's, I mean, otherwise is it Gunther Sammy?
That's the thing. I mean, you got Cody Roman versus Jacob and Solo. I can see that closing. I can see that starting or closing out the show. I could see Sammy and Gunther closing out the show, or I could see this closing out the show. Like
I think Sammy Gunther opens. I don't think we're living in a world where Roman Reigns is first pay-per-view back. He is not the show closer.
I could see that. All right, that's the thing. That's why I'm asking. Is I wanted to see what everyone thought of this one but I feel like it has to be one of those 3 matches, right? Like that closes out this show.
Yeah, I still think this tag match starts it. That's where I'd put my money.
I think you start it with Sammy Gunther just because that's going to be something you can near fall the crap out of that until Gunther eventually wins. and you can get the crowd hyped up, and a lot of breathless moments until Gunther eventually just hits him with 4 power bombs, a chop, and 2 clotheslines, and Sammy goes, "Okay, enough," and lays there
and
dead.
goes to sleep.
Yeah,
in a sleeper hold because he actually uses a sleeper hold.
Yeah, I like that he does too. It's a cool finisher for him.
I'm actually I'm really excited. Every version of what we just said though, I actually kind of makes me excited about Bad Blood. I think this is, as much as it's kind of one of those in between pay-per-views, I'm liking the card so far, and I'm liking what the build to it. We get Jey Uso and Braun Breaker in a segment, and they kind of really went in on each other on this, and I liked it. We had Braun Breaker talk about how he doesn't even use his family's name, how he doesn't have to use his family to get over.
Troll moment of the week.
And at the end of it, it looks like Braun's going to get the better of Uso, and Jake hits him with a surprise spear. So everyone does a spear now.
The Jey Uso's need to win this match is monumental. He's not going to. I really don't think he will.
As we said this last week, he's not going to win.
But he has lost so many matches. I just don't understand how he bounces back from losing this one.
There's going to be a spot where Rhea kisses him eventually. That's going to be the whole thing where that's the win now.
Boo.
I agree, Boo. You've missed the boat main event, Jey Uso. This is now lose the mid-card Jey Uso.
Yeah, he's participation trophy Jey Uso.
But he's also going to get to be the Rhea love interest, which is going to make all of the little boys jealous.
Boo. I just don't like, there's no need to use him that way. Like, he's a star, and they just kind of
over.
Like, yeah,
he's so over. I don't even understand how he's this over.
I do. He's an everyman. He's a Samoan everyman, and every one of us has dealt with, be it a boss, be it a family member, be it someone who lorded something over us in our lives. So we all rooted for him because all of us have been in that position. That's why he's been so popular. Plus, the whole yeet thing. I think Pat McAfee did a lot to help just how important the yeet was or is.
I think Pat McAfee does a lot to help everything out in the world.
I want to be Pat McAfee when I grow up.
Facts. We get New Day and Judgment Day in a tag team title match. And this is just furthering the rift with Kofi and Xavier Woods. There was a lot of stuff going on in this match that a lot of people are unhappy about, though. So during this match, someone said that during Finn and JD's 71-day title reign, they've never defended the title. They should never have said that, because the only reason why Roman was allowed to go longer than the 30 days without defending was it was a special stipulation that Paul Heyman, being the agent advocate that he is, put it in specifically. Secondly, they have defended the title. Unless we're just saying that house shows and like European tours just completely don't count anymore, they've defended it on those shows. So they haven't not had matches for those titles. They just haven't been televised matches, I think. And finally, the spot that kind of gets Woods and Kofi against each other in this is Kofi calls for the LWO to come help them. They're all on the outside of the ring. Kofi does the blind dive to the outside of the ring with everyone just staring up at him. And I heard this on Busted Open.
As they all wait for him.
They all just wait for him, and it gets done to death so much. And I do agree with what they said on Busted Open. It's done to death so much that you just it's not cool. Like, you don't even get oohs and ahs. It's just another spot in the match now. It's another spot in every match. Let me put it that way. And then the ref leaving the ring and yelling at Kofi, who's not the legal man, to get back in the ring. And that's how they don't win the tag team titles. It just seems like, I don't know, it seems like a lot of missteps on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that the last misstep was supposed to be there. That's supposed to be what they did in the match. But at the same time, Kofi's not the legal man. It kind of doesn't matter.
Break him up or don't break him up. It's going on too long.
They need to pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
We get the furthering of Bronson Reed versus Braun Strowman.
Let me tell you about the epitome of two big men just wrecking house. Is what happened here.
Bronson Reed threw a person. He threw a human being at Braun Strowman. I've only seen that happen one other time in my life, and it was from Hound.
They took down the top rope. They threw a person.
They went through the guard wall.
Like, it was everything. Like, a steady tsunami just destroying house.
And I love that. Who was it? Tessitore? Was it Tessitore or... No, I think it was Barrett says, this is the greatest 60 seconds that has ever happened in our entire industry. And I was like, I don't disagree with you, because it was exciting. And for two dudes that are that big, and let's face it, the big man, the big man in this industry is always going to be amazing to watch. Mm-hmm. That it's what, especially WWE was built on. The larger-than-life giant of a man. And these two guys epitomize it, and they did a lot. They've been doing a lot of really cool stuff with them over the last couple of weeks, and I'm actually coming around on just this part of the feud in general.
I wish Bronson Reed was just 2 inches taller. Just so that way they're just a little bit more eye to eye, but I mean, I go back to what Big E said, just see some big sweaty men slapping meat. That's it.
And they're two big athletic dudes too. Like, they do some cool stuff. My only fear is Strowman is a little injury prone lately. I'm really scared that we're never going to see the real payoff for this, because Braun's going to have to take time off again.
Dude, I don't care how injury prone you are or you're not. When a 400-pound dude is flying into you, you could be stout as a mountain. Eventually, there's going to be a crack. And same thing, Bronson Reed's not injury prone until a guy who's legitimately 6'8" and 380 pounds, who made Brock Lesnar so angry that Lesnar hit him for real because Braun Strowman really hit him. There's a good chance one of these boys ends up hurt.
But I'm just hoping it's on the blow-off.
I'm hoping it doesn't happen at all.
I mean, I hope they don't get hurt at all, but also, like, I hope we get the real blow-off for this, because we've been building towards what this could be, and I think this could actually be something special.
Play it out all the way to Mania, and we get a 45-second glorious match at Mania.
Along with
glorious.
Along with the 17 30-second matches that we've gotten up until Mania.
Perfect.
Yep.
I love it.
All of a sudden, Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman just start battling over the speed title.
Might as well get some notoriety over there.
You see? Now you're thinking.
We get Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser lay out Sammy. It looked like they were trying to play off that Kaiser was gonna maybe fight back at Gunther a little bit, and then he just beats on Sammy, and then we get Sammy turning it around on Kaiser, but we still get no answer for Gunther. Obviously, this is going to be a yes soon enough. I'm just wondering what they're going to have to do to get Gunther to say yes.
I think it's going to be a Healy yes. I don't think it's going to be a, you've pushed Gunther so far. Oh my God, he made an emotional yes. I think it's going to be something where Sammy's completely laid out and beat up and everything else, and then he's going to with a very cocky, yes. Leave Sammy unconscious, and Sammy can't hear the yes kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we get humorous Sammy, and he just does the yes, no, yes, no, no, yes.
I mean, I would be okay with a Bugs Bunnying of it, but I don't think I don't think Gunther's just the character for that. I think we can explore
I don't
that
think
with
this
him.
is a comedy spot at all. I'm just saying that we haven't seen comedy Sammy in a minute, so.
I don't think we need to see comedy Sammy with Gunther. I think anybody with Gunther, there needs to be the level of respect at all times. Level, back and forth, and then ends with somebody with a snarky disrespect remark back and forth about, you're incredible, I'm incredible, but I'm more incredible because you're this kind of thing.
Because you're a ginger. I don't know. This one was a surprise for me. Io Sky getting a completely clean win over Bianca Belair.
This felt like the world title scene to me.
This absolutely felt like the world title scene, and it looked. I don't know where this was coming from. Like you said, is this them just setting the Io up for the eventual title match against like Liv or whoever comes out of Liv and Rhea with the title, or is this also, or is this just them setting up even more for the tag team titles?
I think that the intention right now is for the tag team titles. Because that's where everybody is. But I'm with you. I'm surprised that Io went over cleanly, but I liked it.
Completely cleanly.
I think that they'll end up defending. What they're trying to do is trying to make Io a threat after all the losing she's kind of done. So giving her a clean win makes her a threat to the tag team champions. And then I think this does drive to them fighting for the tag titles. I don't know who wins. Probably Bianca and Jade. But in the meantime, Io has set up that she is a force to be reckoned with.
I think this serves two purposes. I think one, this serves they're a legitimate threat again. The former tag team champs as a threat for the tag team titles. Who'd have thought? But I believe after Jade and Naomi retain, because I think we're eventually heading to the Jade. I'm sorry, not Naomi, Jade and Bianca. I believe we're heading towards the Jade and Bianca split, and eventually them, and it's going to be at one of the big four where those two have a match. I do think, though, the singles victory over that allows Io to be put into the title picture, which I do believe will be against Liv Morgan. And I think you can take the title off Liv relatively quickly, and it being on Io is not a bad thing ever.
Not at all. I mean, she's a credible champion.
She was a wonderful moonsault.
And she has some of my favorite moments ever where her and Asuka just start yelling at each other in Japanese, and then she calls Asuka a bitch. And it's one of my favorite moments ever.
I do love those little segments, especially once you have to go over it with like what they're actually like translated to. We get the end of Raw with Damian Priest going over Dom cleanly, and then Judgment Day comes out.
I wanted Dom to win.
I know you did, buddy. I know you did. I actually kind of did too. I think this has been the fact that they keep putting them in there with like Dom, like it's too much of it's like too much of a beatdown at this point. Like I would keep Damian away from the Judgment Day, other than like beatdowns like this at this point. But they did beat him down. And as Jey Uso is about to come out to help them, Braun Breaker comes out and spears him from in the rampway, pulls down the hoodie. There he is. And they hit all their finishers on all the members of the Terror Twins. And that was kind of Raw for this week.
That ending is, for me, it's the same with Cody and the Bloodline. Let's hit the crescendo now. Rhea hit the damn Riptide on Dawn. Let's be done with it.
I think we maybe have one. I hate to say it, but I think we have at least 2 more big shows with it.
I know, but I can hope.
Oh, but with that is our week in wrestling. As I said throughout the show, starting next week, we will be starting to put out some shorter programs with more in-depth analysis on all of the varying shows. Again, the teams for the AEW and NXT reviews are going to be Hound and myself, and then Mr. Showtime and me will be paying attention to TNA and WWE stuff.
Woo!
With that said, boys, as always, thank you, fans. Thank you, Legion. We're looking forward to how the show is growing and the big things that we have coming up. We appreciate you. Again, if you're listening to us and you're not doing it already, like, subscribe, follow, do all the things. You have no idea how much it helps us and helps the different algorithms. Hound, we are so happy to have you on the team. As much as I normally hate you, you have been a very nice breath of fresh air to have a 3-man team again. But boys, anything to say closing out?
Yeah, who was the 3-time world champion that you're going to interview?
It's a surprise.
I thought I'd get you there. I was this close. Sorry, fans. I was trying to help you get that.
It will be announced on social media.
I'm just saying. I was just trying to get you. See if you were still on your toes.
I can tell you one person isn't. Mick Foley.
It's not Mick Foley.
No,
Gents.
I don't have much, but everyone, thank you so much for listening. All of our social handles are in the description below. We love you all, and thank you so much for the support.
And like I said last time, folks, thank you for giving us your single most precious resource, your time. We hope you enjoyed it. God bless and be well.
And as always, remember, tuck your chin when you bump, guys.